Hi. I'm Sonia, and this is my podcast on which I talk about movies, film industry, and filmmaking with different filmmakers all around the world. My new guest today is producer Cassidy Camp. Recently, she produced the movie Dirty Towel, comedy drama about a girl experiencing guiltness after losing her virginity. Recently, this movie has been officially selected to two Oscar-qualified festivals, LA Shores and Tribeca Festival. Let's congratulate Casey! On today's episode, we talked about her experience as a producer, what is important during filmmaking process, how to communicate on sets to make your work better. We discussed female filmmakers in the industry and talked about her movie Dirty Towel, what it's about, how it was made, and a lot more. Hope you're gonna love it. Enjoy watching. Hi everyone, today with me is an amazing producer whose movie been at Tribeca Festival, right? Okay. Casey? Yes?
Cassidy, yeah.
Cassidy, I'm sorry. Sorry.
No worries.
Every time I have episode, I already have two. Soon I will post the second one, and I ask everyone why you decided that you want to be in this industry. What make you get it in here?
Yeah, so I kind of stumbled into it as a lot of people do. In high school, I took this video production elective because I just had an extra space in my schedule and wasn't quite sure what else to do. And it seemed interesting enough. I had filmed with my parents' camcorder a lot when I was a kid, and I was like, you know what, this might be cool. This might be cool. So I tried it out, and I absolutely fell in love with just storytelling and working as a team to put together an awesome product. And it just kind of continued from there. I thought I originally wanted to go into news, but then I went to college and learned that news was not really my thing anymore, and fell into narrative and have kind of just stuck around ever since. I love the team aspect of filmmaking as a whole, just being able to come together with a large group of people to make something happen from start to finish.
It's actually really cool. It's such a I don't know, inspiring story. But as you started this at school, yes, uh,
Mhm.
you definitely not started as a producer. Uh, what other professions in the industry you tried maybe, or just maybe even doing short film with your friend or something and tried something new?
Yeah, so in high school, there wasn't really much differentiation between the positions. Everybody kind of did a little bit of everything. So I would write a script and then also kind of direct in it, sometimes have to star in it, just all these multi hyphenate positions because nobody else was really there to compensate for the lack of them. But as I went into college, I started out as a cinematographer mainly, and just wanted to be always behind the camera, be controlling what the vision is, what it looks like. I got into color grading quite a bit too. Um, and then I also worked in social media for a bit, just as when I took a break from film and needed to just kind of try something else out, I worked in social media, in politics a little bit, which was also wild. And then came back to film, DP'd and did cinematography for about a year. And but through the process of DPing, I also ended up producing as well because I don't know, at 20 years old, nobody really fully knows what producing looks like. And I just wanted to make sure to get the project done, to be as organized as possible. And so I kind of ended up falling into producing through the projects I DP'd. And then after school, I thought, hey, why not just try just this producing thing? Because I also really like that. And it keeps me involved in more than just production. I can also be involved in pre-production and post-production and festival runs and just be so much more integrated into the whole process. So that's what I did.
That's actually it's cool because I can say that it's maybe gonna sound stupid, but I'm not really knowing what the producer do because usually I'm um from the industry. I've been hearing a lot. Like I talk with different people from the industry, and they're like, "Producer, give you money," and I'm like, so it's really interesting. I never even knew like how people can be like, I want to be a producer, but it's cool. Uh,
Yeah, it's definitely very different. There's different kinds of producers too. I will say like some producers are just like financiers and just give you backing to help you make the project, but that's not really I don't come from a lot of I don't have a ton of money just sitting around. I That would be lovely if I did, but I don't typically like finance projects. But in terms of like producing, I like to do like all the logistical organizational planning of like helping get locations and planning out the shoot schedule and kind of just like how the actual project is going to be completed.
it's really cool. Like, mm, I don't know. I'm doing a short movie. Like I've been shooting it recently, and it was just like shooting with my friends and family. And
Yeah.
I would like to have a producer. I'm
Yes,
really
yes.
bad at organization
Oh,
process.
it's so hard. And I think like especially in the creative world, there's so many people that are so creative that being organizational is like almost like against their nature because I think a lot of like writers and directors they have to be in that headspace of just I don't know, kind of like a little bit of like an imaginary world, always like building your characters, building your story, and that's not always super cohesive with the logistical side of things. So definitely having a producer that can help kind of control that side while the writer director and the creative team gets to be their creative selves is always really helpful.
But do you? Well, I already got that you've been in the creative process a lot. But do you want to maybe come back, maybe direct a movie or something?
I currently don't really have any desire to do that. I think a big part of why I love producing is getting stories made that wouldn't necessarily be made otherwise. Um, I find that like a lot of like women filmmakers, LGBTQ plus filmmakers have so much more of a barrier to access in creating films in the first place. So it's really empowering for me to be able to help these people tell their stories. Um, and I think just like the producer is like the perfect seat to execute that because you can actually help them start their process and finish it and try to get them the exposure they need and they deserve.
How many project you uh not already organized, but like mm, usually how many through the time you're working?
It depends. It totally depends. I mean, I've only worked on like three or four shorts um, so far, including Dirty Towel. And most of them, except for Dirty Towel, which is the one that got to Tribeca, which is awesome. All of the other ones were like micro budget. Like we had like less than $1,000 or like $300 or like just something really, really small. And it was more of a rinse and repeat kind of like practice of getting used to the positions and working with the team and seeing what I like to do. And then Dirty Towel was a um, just kind of like a bigger step for me and my team of people that I usually like to work with. And yeah, and then after that, I think it just really opened up a lot of possibilities for me because I realized I was capable of operating with a larger budget, of operating with a larger crew, and even just like a pilot or a feature, it's just like a scaled up version of a short. Um, and I was super lucky that a ton of opportunities kind of came my way after. Albeit, of course, like none of them are, none of them are like super lucrative opportunities, but they're also super exciting opportunities. So now I'm currently working on associate producing on a feature and a TV pilot and then a couple other short films. So it's been pretty great.
It's so cool. So I think it's it's amazing how many projects you have now in a feature film and pilot. It's so cool, really. Uh, my congratulations.
Thank you.
But when you've been starting working, what was the thing you've been most nervous about?
Oh my gosh. I think just like getting work is really stressful, and just it's like super inconsistent. The industry is a little volatile right now, and it has been since the pandemic and the strikes and just all of the upheaval. I think it's definitely changing for the better, but there is always like a little bit of a like lack mindset of there's not enough work out there, or I'm not going to get my next project, or what I work on next, like I'm not going to be excited about. I think that's always something that like plays in the back of my mind a little bit, but I've been super grateful that the things that have come my way, I've been really excited about. And I think like TikTok has honestly been like such a huge part of my journey as well. Um, most of the opportunities that I have gotten and am working on now have been through people I've networked with and met through TikTok, which is great. It's so cool to be able to connect with people and filmmakers just from everywhere and start to collaborate and actually create something tangible together from just meeting over a silly little app.
Absolutely. We've been talking about it recently on my last podcast, and like I don't know why, but like other social medias don't give you that feedback that TikTok do, because I really love to watch like different people artworks, films, like paintings, everything, music of the artists that not that popular or something, and not even popular at all. And through TikTok, I found so many cool movies, music, everything. It's
Yeah,
really
it's
inspiring.
such a great resource. And I think like because I don't know, everybody really has a phone in their pocket. It gives a lot of power to so many creators from all over. So I've gotten to connect with like people, like I have a friend in like Portugal who makes films and she's awesome. And then I have a friend, I've made some friends up in Canada who make films and some friends over in the UK that make films. So it's just like I never would have had that opportunity to connect with such a diverse group of filmmakers before. And the industry is different everywhere. So it's really interesting getting to hear what the industry looks like for other people in different places.
Absolutely, like that's why I think when I started been starting a podcast, uh, one of the main thing I wanted is the people from all around the world, because everything is so like the same time we have things that's so different, but at the same time we also uh, not different. I'm sorry, I forgot the word.
Yeah.
But it's like I've been knowing so many things from different people about the industry that I've never been knowing. Where are you from?
So I'm currently based in Florida.
Oh, well, about Florida, I know a lot about the industry. It's a lot in the news. Uh,
Oh, Florida. Yeah, it's mainly commercial work here currently. Um, and I do like some commercial stuff occasionally, but I usually like to work on narrative. So I'll work remotely and then fly out to like LA or New York for production.
uh, well, as I've been starting about like the news, I've been really wanting to ask like the strikes that have been happening recently. Uh, does they develop, influenced on you somehow?
Um, Definitely. I think like just the amount of work out there has just really taken a skyrocket down because of the strikes. Just so much of the industry went on pause for such a long time. And I graduated college in spring of 2023, kind of just like in the middle of the SAG strike and the writers' strike. So just kind of like coming into the industry as a young professional when everything was kind of on pause was very interesting. I had a ton of friends who had like internships lined up that just like all got canceled because nobody was filming. Um, and just it was very, very, very interesting. But I think in that turmoil also like lies like a lot of opportunity for people to kind of like pave their own way and make things independently. And I think that's why we got super lucky with making Dirty Towel is it was a time where there was not much happening in the industry. So it was easier to get people working on our project for free and to get some really awesome people on like a discounted rate and just kind of like going out of our way to try to actually make something happen when a lot of things weren't happening. Um, I think we got really lucky with the team we got access to because of that.
It's it's interesting because uh, well I'm from Russia, so Europe, all everything like all the countries. Like I have friends from like Germany, I have friends from Italy, everything. Like we knew about SAG strikes and writers strikes, but for filmmakers it didn't influence a lot.
Really? So did it not like affect you guys at all in the industry over there?
Well, no, it did. It did, but how? Like we knew that, for example, in Hollywood, movies are not making that time, and that everything is on pause. Yes, but for us, it's well the other studios and not everyone like with those writers and actors because they didn't work with the same producers, with the same studios, and obviously um, some people haven't even like have money from what they've been doing. They would just do like to show themselves and stuff. So obviously they wouldn't be in a strike for money because they don't have it otherwise. But I think like maybe I don't know of course, but maybe it just like it's the same that you've been talking about the Dirty Towel. That people haven't been working for money but for the project.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I mean, of course, you can't work just because you're passionate about it for forever. It's not sustainable, but in limited quantities, I think
Yeah.
it's very powerful.
I think when you're starting, I've been listening a lecture recently about it. That when you're starting, it's the best way to like risk everything, risk your money. Like, don't care about that. If you're in a creative, artistic industry, anything, you need to risk because then you will have like a good platform to have money and to be employment. So
Yeah, definitely. And when you're young, you just have so much less, so much less resources, so much less going on. So if you're risking, you're not putting at like as much at risk because you don't have that much to begin with. So it's a good time to kind of just put yourself out there and try to do as much as possible,
yes,
even if it's a little scary. Because I think, well, I think you can really do that at any age. I think it's just extra like supported while you're younger because you have a lot
yeah.
less to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's even scarier to do it later because I don't know, later people like already have their own lives. They have like
Mm,
families, and they can't just risk it all. And when you're
yes.
young, you can do whatever you want. You risk alone, not with like your family or something.
Oh yeah, and like Dirty Towel in and of itself was like a huge risk. Like we had no idea. We had never filmed in Los Angeles before, so we filmed out in LA. None of us had ever filmed anything out there before we filmed Dirty Towel, so we had no idea kind of what we were getting into. We had to deal with insurance for the first time and renting equipment that wasn't from our school, going through like an actual rental house. So just all of these things that we had no idea if we were doing it right, no idea if it was going to work, no idea if anybody was even going to see what we made. But we kind of all just took a bet on it because we loved the story, we loved the team, and I think like everybody was really in it for the right reasons, and that paid off.
That's cool. I I didn't watch Dirty Towel as it wasn't like released online or was.
It hasn't been.
Or yes, but I just saw so many photos and so many videos like on TikTok and in Instagram, and I was like, damn, this thing must be really cool.
Thank you.
uh,
Uh,
can I please ask like the story?
yeah,
Well, obviously you're a producer, so you want to find the story that you will be fine with, that you will like too. Well, and as I like read, I don't remember how it's called, but like, what's the movie will be about?
Yeah, so the short film is about, it follows this teenager. Her name is Charlie, and she's just raised in a super traditional household, and she's taught from a super young age that um, basically her mother has this like super clean white towel and is like, your body is like a towel, and as soon as you have sex, the towel becomes dirty and the towel will never be clean again, is this metaphor that she uses to kind of impose this like restriction upon her kid. It's ultimately like a form of trying to protect Charlie. But of course, when Charlie grows up, is a teenager, and ultimately like decides to have sex, this thought like plagues her consciousness for quite a bit of trying to determine like, am I dirty now? Am I ever going to be clean again? Is this something that I can't undo? So the short kind of follows her after she loses her virginity and just kind of coming to terms with the fact that sexuality is normal and everybody has sex and she shouldn't be ashamed of her choices.
It's so cool. Like I've been reading like that's about um the losing your virginity and like the journey. I've been reading it, but the metaphor, oh my god, it's so cool. I'm pardon my French, but I'm kind of a slut for metaphors. I absolutely adore them all, and that's so cool.
I love that. Yeah, and it, like the metaphor came from our director. So our director and the lead actress, they actually wrote the short film together because they're cousins, which is a fun fact. But they were just talking with friends, and they were talking about the metaphors that a lot of people use to kind of like prevent people from having sex, like especially like in Jane the Virgin, it was like the flower, um, and one of their friends told them this story about the towel, and they were like, "Whoa, that's just so visually poignant that they just knew they had to use it and tell that story in some way."
It's it's fantastic. It's really so
Yeah.
like I don't know. It's so touching like this metaphor because I've met so many people who've been literally feel like dirty and like no, it's normal. It's life, guys. Just calm down. It's but for some people it's really scary in this movie, so it
Definitely.
can
And I think
help
like
so many people
I
who
think
think they scared.
yeah, I think like on like a larger scale, like Dirty Towel is way more like, it's not just about sex, but it's about like shame in general, and how, I don't know, everybody feels shame about something that has happened in their life, some decision, some action. Um, and it's kind of about just like coming to terms with that, knowing that you did the best you can, and just moving forward.
It's it's gorgeous, but like this story. How did you understood that you want to produce it? What like make you personally love it?
Yeah, so our director, Callie Carpenteri, we went to the same college, and I had always known that she was just an awesome creative in general. We had never gotten the chance to actually work together, but she's like a semester ahead in our track of classes, and I always totally looked up to her, even though she's like maybe a year older than me. I totally always was like, oh my gosh, Callie is like the it girl of our film program. And she's just always doing all these awesome things. And just, it would be so cool to be part of that one day. So we ended up at this like film festival together because one of my projects got into it and then one of her projects got into it as well. And so we were in Las Vegas, which was wild. And she pitched Dirty Towel in this like pitch feedback session. And just afterwards, I approached her and was like, hey, like, I really, really like this story. Like, I know we've never worked together before, but if you ever need any more hands on deck, I would be more than happy to help. I really want to get into producing, and I think this would be a great journey to embark on together. And then a couple months later, she texted me and brought me on board, and everything spiraled from there. So I knew I wanted to work on it because Callie is just one of those people that I've always known that I wanted to learn a lot from. And so as soon as the opportunity presented itself and I felt super connected to the story, it was like, why not jump in head first?
I think it's the most important, like, to work with the people who you want to work really with, especially in this industry, because otherwise you won't have a good project.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And just being able to communicate so well with your director and having just like a baseline level of trust is so important. And I knew like at the end of the day, like no matter if we got into any disagreements or anything, we were all doing it because we loved the story and we loved the project. So every decision, every disagreement, every conflict was to make the project better. Nothing was really ever personal.
It's it's the most important in doing this project. Like, and Tribeca, it's so cool. Like, how have you been feeling when the movie got into Tribeca?
Overwhelmed, so overwhelmed. It wasn't really even on my radar, really. Because Callie also is like a film festival like circuit nerd in the best way. So she had this like giant list of film festivals she wanted to submit to, and kind of like handled all that submission process. Um, and I knew Tribeca had like asked if it was going to be our world premiere, so I knew they were like inquiring about us. But just in the back of my head, I was like, like I don't know if Tribeca's gonna pick like this film by a bunch of like 22 and 23-year-olds to show at their festival. Like that's I don't know, that's kind of like improbable. We don't know anybody there, we don't have any connections there. Like why would they pick us? And then our director got the call and she called me and we all just kind of freaked out. It was super overwhelming. We did not see it coming at all, but we just tried to embrace it as much as possible, even though it was overwhelming and very scary. Um, but ultimately, it was just such a blessing and such a wonderful experience. It gave us like this like stamp of approval from the industry that's really difficult to kind of obtain when you're a young filmmaker. Um, and it's just opened so many doors, not only for the project, but for all of us involved.
I kind of let's ask, like, you obviously, I saw the TikTok when you've been in the cinema at Tribeca. How do like the auditory at the cinema react at Dodi Towel?
Yeah, so it's always so interesting to see how people react to different parts of it. At Tribeca, we had four screenings, and then I recently was just at our LA short screening as well. So I've gotten to see it in a theater with other people about 5 times. And every single time, it is so different. People always laugh like a little bit more at certain moments or a little bit less, or people laugh at moments where we didn't even think it was supposed to be funny. So every audience is really, really different, which is why it's like so magical to be able to like rewatch. Even though I've seen the film like so many times at this point, it's so magical to see it again and see how other people experience it for the first time, because I'm in it so deep I can't ever really watch it for the first time again and have that like first reaction. So getting to see other people's reactions and how different they are is so fun. We always come out of the theater afterwards and we're like, people laughed at that part today. That's so interesting. So it's very cool.
I remember like listening on some show, Will Smith been telling about how Steven Spielberg told him that when you go into the cinema, it's your movie. You need to go to the back of the cinema and watch at people's head. And if their head exactly like watching it screen, that's mean it's a fantastic movie. Or if they are fantastic auditory, because otherwise they can be just really bad people.
Yeah. I mean, I loved to sit at the back during our screenings because you really could see like just everybody's reactions and see which parts, even if it wasn't like an auditory reaction, which parts people were like surprised or shocked or like they were about to laugh but didn't laugh. So seeing those like little moments too was just really cool as a filmmaker.
it's it's really, I don't know. I've never experienced it. I hope I will. But it sounds fantastic because I remember like I had this, not the same, but I remember when I've been in middle school, I've been in theater, and like I've been an actress, I've been on the stage, and I've been watching like how people react on different parts. It was sometimes scary because like why they didn't laugh or why they laugh, but at the end I was like, oh no, they liked it. Okay.
Yeah, it's always so interesting to see because you never know like why they didn't laugh or why they laughed more today than yesterday, and it's just things you'll never fully know the answer to, but it's always fun to think about.
Yeah. I think actually that's why like movies that are in the cinema for the people who made those movies are really better because you can watch as the reaction. And when this movie is only online, like you never know.
Yeah,
It's
I
scary.
love to hear people's feedback, even if it's like,
Yes.
even if they didn't like it, I want to know why they didn't like it and what parts they
Yes.
didn't like. Just because I want to know, I'm curious.
Yes, absolutely. It's the most important. Like when you're doing the project, you develop yourself obviously with every new project, and that's why you need a feedback not just from the professionals, but from just the people. They are
Yeah,
the
because
the
the amount of people that watch your movies are like, it's typically going to be just like a general person. Like, not everybody watching it is
yes,
going to be a film critic. So, getting like just a normal audience member's reaction is like equally, if not sometimes more valuable than getting a critic's opinion.
absolutely. I think like that's why. Firstly, uh, I don't know. I've been in film school. We haven't been doing like movies there. Just like 30-second little story. But our
Yeah.
teacher say to us that firstly you showing those movies, those stories to your friends and family, who will be the watchers, like just people, not the professional. After that, you can go to me. I will like explain you everything. But firstly, them.
Yep. That's a great perspective because also, I mean, at least for me, I love showing like my family what I make and like rough cuts and everything because they are super comfortable around me and they feel like they can be really honest. So sometimes like my mom gives some of the best feedback on some of my stuff because she's like, nah, I don't really understand this. Or she'll say, I didn't think that was funny. She'll tell me what parts she liked and didn't like and why.
Absolutely. My mom is my main critic. Not like she's criticizing me all the time, but I know that I can go to her and she will be like the best feedback. Like everything after that will be perfect.
Yep. And it's so
Yes,
invaluable.
absolutely. Uh, what other like projects you've been showing at the cinema, or it's the only one?
It's only been Dirty Towel. Dirty Towel is the only one I've been able to get out there so far, which is so cool. But hopefully a couple more soon in the next like, year or so.
And to like other your projects, you obviously like saw your friends and family watching it. Not saw it, but you. uh,
Oh, the new ones?
yes.
They haven't. None of them.
No.
None of the ones I've been working on currently have been like in production, so we don't even have a rough cut on them. So most of them are in like development or pre-production. So not much material to showcase just yet.
Well, soon. But
Yes.
aren't you like scared a little first
Oh my
showing?
God. Every day. Every day. Oh, it's such a scary industry to be in, and like the imposter syndrome also like never goes away. You would think it would after Tribeca, but no. Like as soon as we got into Tribeca, I think part of it is my producer brain, part of it is my perfectionist brain. But my next question was, what's next? What am I going to do that's better than Tribeca? What's my next project going to be, and where is that going to go? And how am I going to be able to just like keep moving forward? And yeah, it's terrifying. I think the idea of being successful and trying to figure out the next step to me is a lot more scary than failure because I'm used to failing. I've been making shorts. I've been making little music videos, all sorts of stuff since high school, and I'm used to them being bad. I'm used to people not liking them. So I don't know, having people like it and having it go somewhere is definitely even scarier for me because it's like, oh my gosh, now there's expectations, and following up on those expectations is intimidating but also exciting. And I don't think I would be able to do it if there wasn't just a little bit of pressure. Part of me does enjoy it, even though it is terrifying.
It's the most important. Like without joy, as I say, like the same with if you don't have a good relationship with the people on sets and who are working on the film. It's the same. Like if you don't have joy, it's impossible to make a good project.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And like there has to be like such a level of like radical optimism in this industry right now because it's just it's so difficult to get things made. It's so difficult to raise money, and you just have to kind of be almost slightly delusional about it to a point, but delusional to the point where like there's action in that delusion. Because I think if you just automatically think you're going to be able to raise like $50,000, it's not going to be an accurate delusion. But if you're like, oh yeah, we're going to raise $50,000, and then you have like action steps and a plan and everything, then like I think that's like my perfect level of a mixture of delusion with action steps.
Yeah, I think it's not like delusion. It's the dreams that become your goals.
Yeah.
Like it's the most important because I think those people who like think like, oh, it's never gonna happen. Of course, to you it's never gonna happen if you're just gonna say it and like it's never gonna happen. Do something for it. And
yes,
as you
exactly.
say, like I myself too been failed so many times, and it's normal. Just with every new step, you're becoming better. Like
yes, every single thing you fail at, every single thing you screw up, it will teach you just another lesson that the next thing is going to be even better, or the next thing you're also going to fail at, but you're going to learn three more things that you're going to do next time differently.
Absolutely. And I think that's why like for people who just like sit in and wait in this industry is the worst.
Oh yeah, I mean
they will
just
fail
like
for sure without
because taking action, just sitting and waiting is so like disempowering, and it makes you feel so small and like contained. But if you actually go out there and start making things, even if they're not good, even if they're bad, like you're still doing something, and that means a lot to people.
Yes, absolutely. Like in any creative job, you actually just need to work 24/7. Like projects, like I don't know, contacting with different people. It's so important. Like you need to work, and if you're like seeing it only as some I don't know cool creative process, it will be like maybe it can be your really cool hobby, but it won't become your job.
Yeah, definitely. I think creativity, in order to be successful and seen by other people, definitely needs a lot more structure than people like to give it credit for. And that's what I like to produce. I like to be able to provide that structure and give people kind of an action step and plan of how to tackle something that seems so big and formidable, but can actually be broken up into a ton of little pieces.
It's so hard. Like I know I myself like no I can organizing the process, but it's really bad. Like I'm for sure gonna forget something, gonna miss something. It's so hard. Like including that you've been at Tribeca, you for sure really good at that.
I think I've always been like a super like organized person in general. And I don't know, it's also like trial and error, seeing things where like I have forgotten so many things all the time, and like every single time I've forgotten something, it reminds me the next time to plan ahead for it even more than I thought I should have. So even on Dirty Towel, like there are things that we just like didn't see coming that we had to just pivot and tackle head on and completely adjust in the moment. And especially on that project, all of those are things that just moving forward into my next projects things that I'm already like accounting for even before we go into production, because I know that I messed it up last time and I would love not to mess it up again.
Uh, do you had like from all of the like productions you have worked and working on now? Do you have like the story that is like really mess?
Like my favorite one?
For example?
Um, I think it's so hard to pick because all of them are different in their own ways, and all of the people I'm working with are also so different. Um, I don't know, but I think one upcoming project that I am really excited about, it's a TV pilot that we're making independently and hopefully filming in New York in October. But it's called Man Hating Lesbians, and it's just so much fun. It's like Broad City meets the L Word, and it's kind of like a roommate comedy based off of these three friends from college and just kind of like navigating the city as lesbians and like just having media focused on lesbians that aren't predominantly like skinny, white, feminine people, and are just like real, normal human beings just going about their lives, and just the culture of being queer in New York. I think it's just such an interesting and fun facet that's existed for so long. Um, and the writing is just also amazing. The co-creators are just such wonderful people, and I've had so much fun just chatting with them because they just truly care about it and love it so much. So that's one that I'm really excited for.
It's really cool. Like the story, I don't know. I would like to watch it. I'm not queer, but it's every time when I hear like New York, France, just life, I'm watching it.
Oh yeah, it's so cutie, and I think like it's I hope it's going to be enjoyable for everybody, even if you don't relate to the queer community, because I don't know, it's just friends hanging out, trying to find love, trying to figure out what it means to be young and 20 in New York, and just all the messiness that
Absolutely.
ensues with that inherently.
It sounds hard, like 20 alone in New York, just your friends. It sounds kind of hard and scary, but also cool. I would like, I don't know, to spend my 20s in New York or not in New York, I don't know. I've never thought about it actually, but with my friends for sure.
Oh
I
yeah.
would love it. Like it's the most important part.
Oh, definitely.
Your like how like I get that you've been like friends from college or like your coworkers, or your like you finding people on TikTok, but as you said, you have a crew that always working with you in different projects. How it's happened?
Kind of. I have like people that I usually like try to work with, because I just really enjoy working with them. But with just like projects being based in like LA and New York and like kind of just not all in the same place, it's kind of hard to bring the same people onto everything all of the time. So I've recently been like definitely diversifying the people I work with, which is really fun, honestly, because I mean I love my Dirty Towel team. I love them so much. They were so awesome. But it's always fun to work with new people and just get some like new energy in there, get some new perspectives. I think so many brains is so much better than one, always. So much more opportunity for
Absolutely.
problem solving and idea generation. Um, yeah, so it's been interesting. I feel like my LA crew generally like overlaps pretty heavily. But I mean, starting to work in New York, I don't really have much of a crew there yet. So I'm excited to kind of assemble a team.
Well, actually, I think like for me personally, as I've been shooting few things, and like meeting new people and doing something with people you have never knew before, it gets so interesting because you have. It's of course important if you have like the same vision, but to add like little different details in the project, it was make it a film like or a
Yep,
show. Like
everybody brings like a little piece of themselves into it. And just the more diverse group of people you have, I think the more interesting the film becomes.
yes, absolutely. Because otherwise, it's gonna be like only thing for you, and it should
Yeah,
be for everyone. So it's better to listen to other people.
100%.
But have you ever, like, I don't know, just maybe like we all like had such situations when you weren't ready to like listen to other people during the project?
I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, sometimes we have like really long days and it's like the 11th hour of the 12-hour day and I'm just like my brain is just empty and I'm so tired, running off of limited amount of sleep. I think I've definitely always tried to keep as open of a mind as possible. Um, but of course, like sometimes you're just so exhausted, it's difficult to communicate. But in those moments, I tend to like recognize that pretty quickly and let like on Dirty Towel, we had a couple of other producers. So if I had a moment where I was like, meh, like I think I'm gonna not give the best feedback in this situation, I would typically like refer to another producer to kind of handle that situation so that I could make sure that somebody was like at their best in every situation at all times, even if it wasn't me.
It's important because no sleep and working a lot. It's you can. I'm sorry, of course, but you could have get a really bad feedback in such a
Yeah.
situation.
And I think
Yes.
like recognizing that like in myself and knowing like when I need a second to like go step out and like take a breath or when I need to make sure I'm eating and drinking enough water. I think that also goes back to like having a great crew that looks out for each other. Um, if everybody's making sure that everybody's on the same wavelength and everybody's feeling good and doing good, then it's a lot easier to avoid those moments.
Yes, it's true. I think actually I've I've heard, unfortunately I've heard like the stories from sets of big feature movies. Usually it was like big Marvel movies and stuff. When someone just decided that they are on their own, they don't need
Mm.
any help and everything. I was like, yes, but you're ruining the production. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. It's always interesting. I think like learning how to manage personalities on set is something that's very underrated too, and learning like how to diffuse situations. And some people prefer to communicate in a different style than other people do, and just kind of making sure that your crew is as cohesive, not only in like working together, but in like communication styles, is really important. Or at least setting an expectation that like we were talking about earlier, that nothing is personal, like everything is for the good of the project.
Absolutely, yes. It's absolute true. Because I don't know. But the good of a project is the best for all of you also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Like I don't know. I don't know like Rebecca is Oscar qualification. Yes, like
Yep.
if you are working like on your own, you don't have such a really amazing opportunity. Like it's really cool, and I hope that actually you would produce a movie that would be not Oscar qualification, but an Oscar movie.
Oh, thank you. I hope so too one day. I mean, I think the award system is so interesting in and of
Yes.
itself, but I mean, who doesn't love an award?
I don't know. I absolutely adore all the like stories from all the awards, and like I absolutely adore watching how people get these awards. Like when Kehukan got the Oscar. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I've been listening and I've been kind of crying. I remember even I've been in the media class in my school. It's like the class where it's about filmmaking, also journalism, everything. And
Oh,
I even
cool.
wrote an article about him because for me it was so inspiring, like his story and what he said at the Oscar. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing to see, I don't know, how much people really have to go through to get to that point. And
Yeah.
it's so much of a 10-year overnight success.
Yes. It was like a hope core.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
Yeah.
we all need that nowadays.
Absolutely. Like, I don't know. I have nothing against those people, but those things sometimes it's a little bit unfair for some people, like nepo babies, because some nepo babies I see them and like, damn, like you're a good actor, you're a good director, you're a good musician, but some I see and like, okay.
Yeah. I think like a big thing with nepotism in the industry is like I think people who acknowledge it, I have no problem with because I mean, if I were in their shoes, like of course I would also be trying to utilize those opportunities as well. So I think as long as people are just aware of their privilege and humble about it, it doesn't bother me too much.
Absolutely, yes. I'm only against those people who just like, mm, uh, I can do whatever I want, even if they can't for sure.
Yeah. And like that just totally comes from like an inflated perspective of like what's available to them in the world. And I don't know, I think those people either shoot for the stars and realize that it's not as easy as they thought, or they just kind of live in that blissful ignorance for a while.
Yes, it's actually even sad because some of them could become something and they losing the chance, and also they don't give a chance to like they go becoming like singers, they terrible singers. They could show themselves in other industries which are better for them and give an
Yeah.
opportunity to other young singers who not nepo babies but have a chance. I think we recently were talking about that's why TikTok is so cool. You can know
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah. TikTok is just awesome. Just the ability of like, I don't know, reaching so many people and getting opportunities from
Yes.
people you like never even knew. Like, we would have never connected if it wasn't for TikTok.
Yes, absolutely. It's for sure. I wouldn't find you without TikTok, but you've been in my recommendations, and I was like, oh, she's cool.
It's awesome. And like the pilot I'm working on, I met all of them through TikTok too. So just the power of the internet is crazy. And I'm working on a
Yes.
short film actually with another girl I met on TikTok, and we were joking about our crew being just like all the TikTok girlies because we just are bringing on more and more people that we've met through the internet, which is insane, but
Yes.
awesome.
I think I also like saw recently that most of the filmmakers I see on TikTok, well, obviously they are women because I'm a woman, but it's so cool like seeing female crew and females in the industry. It's amazing. Not only as actors, but behind the
Definitely.
scene.
And I think on TikTok, like that's just such a, I don't know, all of us like women filmmakers want to support each other. And
Absolutely.
so it's so much more of a small world than I originally thought once I kind of got involved in the TikTok space. Um, Everybody kind of knows each other, which is really cool.
Well, absolutely, yes. But I hope that this community will become bigger, bigger, and bigger because it what should happen.
Thank you. I think like really the best way to make that happen is to just meet more like-minded people and collaborate with them and just because all the TikTok film girlies have such a great perspective and outlook, and I think just the more we all work together, the more that future is likely to happen.
Well, I'm really thankful.
Like, comment below, and subscribe for more. Love you guys.